Hey everybody, Yankee here. Today I want to do a video on an article I read about the top calibers used in crimes in the United States. Which calibers are more often involved in a crime in this country? Now, a lot of people might think this is a little bit of a macabre topic, but it's not really when you consider that the title of this article is very misleading. It's not actually the top calibers used to commit crimes, which most people jump to violent crimes like assaults, murders, etc. It's the top calibers that are involved in FBI traces every year. And this could be anything. And in fact, most often it's just finding out who owns stolen guns that have been recovered, or finding out who owns a gun that was recovered shipping through the mail or trying to be shipped across borders or whatever. That's what most of these are. They're not really crimes. But it is kind of an interesting topic. I enjoyed reading it, so I wanted to share it with everyone else out there. So today I want to go over what are the top 5 calibers used in crimes in this country, or in reality involved in FBI searches or traces, because I think it's interesting, and we'll see here if there's any surprises, anything you didn't expect, or does it pretty much line up with what you would expect the top calibers to be. So let's go over the top 5, starting with number 5. At number 5, we have 45 ACP, which did kind of surprise me. I thought most people that own 45 ACPs were either in nursing homes or dead. I didn't think they were out there committing crimes. And I actually don't think they are. I don't think there's a geriatric crime spree going on out there right now. I think you're safe to walk past the little old lady at the bus stop. You don't have to cross the street or go the other way. I don't think she's going to whip out her gat and take you down. I think most of these are probably traces to find original owners, because there's lots of circumstances where these guns could be found in possession of people who didn't originally buy them and maybe shouldn't have them. Because you got to think, a lot of the owners of these are dead. And a lot of 45 ACP guns are older guns, so they've went through a lot of hands. So they're not necessarily, the person who has them isn't the last recorded owner. So a lot of times these are traced because of that. So that doesn't really surprise me when I think about it. 45 ACP, because there's just so many of them out there. They're older guns, so they're in hands of people who aren't the original buyers. So a lot of times if they're involved in any type of crime, even a traffic stop where the gun's on the seat and the guy tells the cop, hey, I got a gun in the car. And the cop's like, is it registered to your name? Because they ask stupid things like that. And in some states, that is a real thing. And they say no, they have to trace it, find out if it was stolen or not. So at number 5 is the 45 ACP, and I don't think that's a surprise. At number 4, we have the 380 ACP. And that does surprise me. I don't think a lot of people shoot 380. It's expensive. If criminals are using 380, well, then they're making too much money, as far as I'm concerned, because I can't afford to shoot a lot of 380. That would bankrupt me. But once again, I think this is a case of mostly being cases of finding out who owns this gun. A lot of 380s I've found 380s in the woods. Digging up, trying to make a flower bed or renovating a property. I've found multiple 380s. Everything we find is either a 380 or a 38 over the course of my developing real estate. And so it doesn't surprise me. I just think that it's a lot of older guns, cheap guns that have been passed down into the hands of people who maybe shouldn't have them. Especially on the streets. I'm sure a lot of times when they catch someone on the street, like someone who's a prohibited person and they catch them with a gun, it's probably something like a 380 High Point, a 380 Raven, something like that. So I'm really not surprised that these guns are traced a lot, and I'd be willing to bet it's because they're cheap guns in the hands of people that shouldn't have them. So when you think about it, even though it does seem a little odd because it's an expensive caliber to shoot, it makes sense because there's a lot of cheap 380s floating around out there. All right, number 3, we have the 22 long rifle. Now, this is actually the only rifle caliber in the top 5. In fact, when you drop down to the next rifle caliber involved, you drop down to numbers way below any of these, which goes to show you rifles really aren't a problem in this country as far as crime is concerned. It's just that people want to go after them in government because they are good for defending ourselves against a tyrannical government. That's why they want to target rifles. But really, when you look at crime numbers, they're hardly ever used, except for the 22s. And the reason 22s are used in crimes a lot, and I did a little bit of research on this, is they're involved in a lot of crimes involving younger kids who go out and shoot up like the windows out of a car at a, in the countries where someone's abandoned their cars or in a junkyard, whatever. A lot of times that's 22s. And then the police put those guns in for a trace to find out who bought the kid the 22. If the parents say, I don't know where he got it, they trace it. Often they're found abandoned 22s. 22s are often recovered through means like finding them or through gun buybacks. And a lot of times they will trace those guns at the buybacks and see if they were ever involved in a crime that they know of. So that accounts for a lot of the 22s. There's just so many of them. So it's not like people are out there committing bank robberies or stick-ups with 22s. They're just a very common round and type of firearm for, recreational shooting and mischief, if that's what you would like to call it, because it's not involved in a lot of killings. Like a lot of people like go around and say, 22 is the most deadly caliber because people blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because the mafia used to shoot people in the back of the head with 22s at close range. But as far as other types of general crime, they're really not used. This, like I said, is mostly because of crimes committed by juveniles, people out goofing around while recreationally shooting, and buyback turn-ins. All right, number 2, we have the .40 Smith & Wesson. I was really happy to see a caliber I really like make the top 5. It's the first one that I really like, although I do like .380. It's just very expensive. But the .40 is a great round. So I was, like I said, happy to see it up here. I wish I'd have seen .357 up here, but it seems like people own .357s must not commit a lot of crimes. Lazy bastards. But the .40 made it, and it's here, and it's been traced a lot by the FBI. 48,000 times in the year 2021, which was the last year we actually have the full figures for. And this caliber, like I said, is probably involved in a lot of self-defense shootings, a lot of property crimes, a lot of thefts. It's a pretty common round, especially with criminal types. They love their forte. So it's a very popular round, very popular gun. It's fading away now. I would doubt it's in the top 5 now because there's so few guns available in it. But you got to think, 2021, almost 3 years ago, was a very popular round. A lot more guns available in it. Very popular on the street. A lot of .40 high points, I bet, have been involved in crimes. But still, the vast majority of them are just going to be guns being traced to see who owned them, guns being traced, like I say, after they've been stolen and recovered, or guns that are recovered in shipping, blah, 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 if they were being shipped illegally, things like that. Not actually violent crimes, but still, as far as the FBI is concerned, the .40 Smith & Wesson was the number 2 traced round or traced firearm, caliber of the most traced firearm in 2021. Hey, number 1 ain't gonna surprise nobody, it's 9mm. And that's because it's the most common caliber you can find. In fact, nowadays it seems like manufacturers are trying to make it the only caliber you can find. So is anyone surprised that anything to do with handguns, and handguns are used in crimes way more than rifles, as I've already said. So anything to do with handguns is, of course, mostly going to involve 9mm. That includes violent crimes, non-violent crimes, theft, recovery, tracing for buybacks, etc. Anything that involves a handgun is going to involve more 9mm than anything else because there's just more of them. There's probably 10 9mm out there for every 40. In fact, when you go from 9mm, you go from, what was it, did I say, 48,000 traces on the .40, which is nearly 50,000, to almost 200,000 traces for 9mm. So 4 times higher, which back then that was probably pretty good. Now I would bet it's more like 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 times higher because that's just what availability is. So no surprise there at number 1. It's the most common caliber handgun available, 9mm. All right, there's the top 5 calibers used in crimes in this country. Any surprises for you? I don't think I was all that surprised about any of them after I thought it through. So not a very interesting list, really, and you might not be interested in this video, but I found it slightly interesting, mainly because I liked how they misrepresented it. How they pretended like every time a gun has been traced or someone's been shot or something like that. That's the impression they want to give you. That's misleading media. And they do that all the time. So I want to use this as a lesson for everyone out there to, whenever you read a story like this, make sure you read the whole thing. Make sure you check their sources. Make sure you check the details, because usually what they're trying to make you think is different than what you actually should think. Hey everybody, Yankee here. Before you go, I want to remind everyone out there that this channel is 100% viewer funded. We take no advertising. We do not accept sponsorship. We do not get kickbacks from gun companies. We don't do paid reviews. We don't hand out discount codes for kickbacks. And we definitely don't take money from organizations like the NRA or the GOA to try and convince you that they're good organizations. Like I said, we are completely viewer funded. And if you want to be one of those viewers that helps fund us, go on over and sign up either on Patreon or Subscribestar. It doesn't really take any money for me to make videos, but it does take money to run the programs that we sponsor, such as TYMP, Pets and Vets, the Friend Program, and so on. And if you sign up on Subscribestar, you are supporting TYMP. If you sign up on Patreon, you're supporting Pets and Vets. And if you're one of my viewers that is not comfortable signing up on one of those platforms, just go over and buy some merchandise. We sell merchandise to help fund the programs that we run. That's why we do the merch. I don't enjoy doing it. Well, actually, I do enjoy drawing them. All the designs are hand-drawn by me. But I don't enjoy having to make them to fund the programs. But, you know, it's necessary if we want to do the good that this channel does. And I think you all do a lot of good. You come together, and as a group, you do far more than any of us could do separately. And that's why the Yankee Marshall Posse gets stuff done. And if you want to be one of those people that get stuff done and help us out, like I said, go over to Subscribestar or Patreon and sign up. There's links in the upper corner of this video, or just buy some merch. And remember, if you sign up on Patreon or Subscribestar, that gets you entry into our members-only chats that we have every Monday and Wednesday night. With that being said, I want to thank everyone in advance for your participation. Like I said, together we do far more than we could ever do as individuals.